I knew something was wrong before I turned the knob. The house felt organized, not tidy. Organized. When I opened my bedroom door, the air looked wider. My desk was gone. The bookshelf I built in college was gone. Even the nail holes had been filled. The closet rod hung bare except for 3 wire hangers, swaying slightly like something had just been taken down. For a moment I thought I had walked into the wrong house. My suitcase was sitting upright in the middle of the floor. Packed. That was when my mother stepped into the doorway behind me. "You've done your part," she said calmly. Too calmly. "Your sister's semester is covered." I turned slowly. "What are you talking about?" She didn't answer the question. She'd adjusted her shawl like she was preparing for guests. "You said you'd help the family. You help. Now you need to move on." Move on. I felt something inside me pause rather than break. "I left here." "They did," she corrected. The glass came later, not thrown in rage, but in punctuation. I asked where I was supposed to go. She told me I was 30, not 10. I asked if she was serious. She said I was being dramatic. The glass hit the wall near my shoulder when I didn't start moving fast enough. It shattered across the hallway tiles. A clean, sharp sound. My father didn't come out of his room. I remember kneeling to pick up the pieces because I didn't want my sister to step on them later. That's the part that embarrassed me most. I paid $5,000 in for her tuition 2 weeks earlier. It wasn't spare money. It was overtime, postponed dental work, and a credit card I'd finally almost paid off. But my sister had cried about losing her scholarship. My mother had called it family duty. I believed in duty. I just didn't know it expired. I left with 1 suitcase and my laptop. A friend from work let me use his couch. I didn't tell him everything. I said renovations were happening at home. It sounded less pathetic. I changed my mailing address. Opened a separate bank account. Froze my credit out of instinct more than foresight. I didn't call them. They didn't call me. For 3 weeks. I learned how quiet I could be. Then my father started calling. The first time, I didn't answer. The second time, I assumed someone was sick. By the 5th call in one afternoon, I picked up. His voice wasn't angry. It was tight. "Where are you?" "At work. You need to come to the university today." There was a shuffle of papers on his end. Not the sound of authority. The sound of someone reading something twice. "They're saying your payment structure is incomplete. That you're listed as financial guarantor for the entire academic year. They won't release the enrollment confirmation without you present." I said nothing. "They're asking for identification. Signatures. They say it's policy." That word had never protected me before. We met in the financial services office the next morning. Fluorescent lights. Beige chairs. A poster about responsible borrowing taped crookedly on the wall. My sister looked small. My mother avoided my eyes. My father stood when I entered, as if unsure whether to shake my hand. The administrator, a woman in her 40s with thin glasses and a calm voice, greeted me directly. "You're listed as primary guarantor for tuition and associated housing," she explained. "The payment made covered 1 term, but the signed agreement binds you for the academic year unless formally amended." My father interrupted. "We can just switch it to my name." She smiled politely. "With proof of income and credit review, yes. Otherwise, we'll need Mr." She looked at me. "To remain responsible." It was the first time someone in that room addressed me as the responsible party without accusation. I asked to review the document. There it was. My signature. Digital. Naively thorough. I could keep it as it was and remain legally tied to them. Or I could request immediate amendment and withdrawal, which would pause my sister's enrollment until alternate arrangements were approved. My mother finally spoke. "You already paid. Why make it complicated?" The administrator answered before I could. "Because liability is long-term." Silence settled in the room differently this time. Not oppressive. Clarifying. I requested the amendment forms. My father's face changed, not fury-lating. Just recalculating. "This will delay her semester," he said quietly. "I know." I filled out the withdrawal of guarantor responsibility. Signed only for the payment already made. No future obligations, no extensions. The administrator stamped the documents. Firm. Audible. Authority doesn't shout. It makes a small, definitive sound. My sister didn't look at me when I stood to leave. My mother didn't speak at all. My father followed me into the hallway. "You're really doing," I said. It wasn't sarcasm. They figured something out eventually. Loans. Relatives. I don't know the details. I wasn't asked again. The call slowed. Then stopped. Sometimes I think about the suitcase waiting in the center of my empty room. How organized it looked. How prepared they were for me to disappear. What they didn't anticipate was paperwork. Or that I would finally read it carefully. I rent a small apartment now. Nothing special. But when I come home, my things are exactly where I left them. No one has packed them for me. The phone still lights up occasionally with my father's name. I let it ring longer these days. Not out of anger, just because I don't rush anymore.